There have been artists who died today and in recent days. Join star legend to pay tribute to them in today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Carol Robles Roman, 1962 to 2023, former deputy mayor of New York City. Carol Robles Roman was an attorney and one of the longest-serving deputy mayors in New York City's history. Died August 20, 2023. Died in New York City of lung cancer at the age of 60. Carol Robles Roman's legacy. Robles Roman studied at Fordham University, then earned her law degree from New York University. After graduating, she entered the New York State court system, first as a senior court attorney in family court in Brooklyn, then in a number of other positions over the course of a decade, including Director of Public Affairs. She was also the first Special Inspector General for Bias Matters. After working as an Assistant Attorney General in the Civil Rights Bureau of the New York State Attorney General's office, she joined Mayor Michael Bloomberg's administration as legal advisor to the mayor. She served as a deputy mayor under Bloomberg for a decade, one of the longest tenures in the post. She was the highest-ranking Latina in city government at the time, and the Latin Media and Entertainment Commission was launched with Robles Roman's assistance. She also served as a trustee for the City University of New York. During her time in public service, Robles Roman earned a reputation as an advocate for those on the margins of society, focusing on issues affecting women and human trafficking. She was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2017. Szymon Bensmaya, 1973 to 2023. Pioneer of touch-enabled prosthetics, Szymon Bensmaya was a neuroscientist and leading expert on the sense of touch who developed technology that allows prosthetic limbs to sense temperature and touch in a realistic way. Died August 11, 2023. Died in Chicago at the age of 49. Szymon Bensmaya's legacy. As a college student at the University of Virginia, Bensmaya studied computer engineering and cognitive science, but in truth, was a talented pianist who wanted to be a musician. Later in life, he formed a jazz-funk band, Fuzz ZZ, with fellow neuroscientists and released an album in 2013. However, his parents urged him to continue his science education. So he went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill to earn his doctorate in cognitive psychology with a minor in neurobiology. This was followed by a postdoctoral fellow at the Krieger Mind/Brain Institute at Johns Hopkins University. Bensmaya's groundbreaking work began when he joined the University of Chicago faculty in 2009. His research led to breakthroughs on how sensory inputs made their way through the nervous system and brain, guiding our perception of the world. Bensmaya and his lab partners published major studies in 2013 and 2015 that led to huge advancements in prosthetic technology. Specifically, it allowed prosthetic limbs to process and feel temperature and pressure, and then transmit that information to amputees in a way that felt more natural and organic. In 2016, he worked with partners at the University of Pittsburgh to develop the first robotic prosthetic device that could be controlled by thought and provide a realistic sense of touch. A patient later used the device to shake the hand of President Barack Obama. David Jacobs, 1939 to 2023, creator of Dallas, Knots Landing. David Jacobs was a TV writer and producer who created the hit series Dallas and Knots Landing. Died August 20, 2023. Died at a hospital in Burbank, California, of complications from a series of infections at the age of 84. David Jacobs' legacy. Jacobs had a degree in art history and worked as a magazine writer before he found his greatest success in television. His first idea for a show would later be turned into the primetime soap opera Knots Landing, but before it could come to fruition, he had another idea. This one was for a 5-episode miniseries about a wealthy family of Texas oil tycoons, and CBS gave him a chance to run with it. The miniseries was a success, and a full show was ordered, with the miniseries later being considered the first of 14 seasons of the great primetime soap Dallas. Jacobs continued writing for Dallas through its 3rd season and remained involved as a creative consultant, but in 1979, he returned to his earlier idea for a more middle-class soap opera. Knots Landing launched as a Dallas spin-off, and it became a success just like its predecessor, also running for 14 seasons on CBS. Jacobs remained with Knots Landing in a more active role than he maintained with Dallas. Other shows created by Jacobs included Married, The First Year, and Paradise. He also wrote for such shows as Family, Chicago Story, and Bodies of Evidence, and he directed episodes of Knots Landing and Paradise. Notable quote, "The other primetime serials offered a peek into a world that was rich and corrupt and populated by an unhappy bunch. I suspect that viewers found some satisfaction in their misery." Knots Landing ushered viewers through that same world, but because its characters remained downscaled and multidimensional, viewers felt that they were along for the ride. From a 1990 essay for the New York Times. Tom Courtney, 1933 to 2023, Olympic gold medal winning sprinter. Tom Courtney was an Olympic sprinter known for a last-second victory in the 800-meter race at the 1956 Summer Olympics in Melbourne, Australia. Died August 22, 2023. Died at an assisted living facility in Naples, Florida, of amyloidosis at the age of 90. Tom Courtney's legacy. Courtney was a track star at Fordham University who set world records, including in the 2-mile relay and 600-yard dash. He was even featured on a Sports Illustrated cover during his Fordham career. He was drafted into the U.S. Army after graduation but allowed to continue training in competitive running while he served. Courtney was midway through his military service when he qualified for the Olympics. In the 800-meter dash, Courtney and his fellow American, Arnie Sowell, were leading the race along with England's Derek Johnson as the finish line loomed. A burst of speed from Johnson put Courtney behind, but he surged forward in the race's last meters. He ended up winning by a mere tenth of a second, unsure of his own victory until it was confirmed. A few days later, he was part of the gold medal-winning U.S. team in the 4x400-meter relay. After his military service ended in 1957, Courtney received his MBA at Harvard University, later working as an investor. He did not continue racing for long after his Olympic victory, but he ran at least 1 mile in under 5 minutes every year until his 50th birthday. Al Quie, 1923 to 2023, former congressman and governor of Minnesota. Al Quie was a Republican who served in Congress for more than 20 years and as governor of Minnesota, in addition to being considered twice as a potential vice presidential running mate in a U.S. presidential election. Died August 18, 2023. Died in Wayzata, Minnesota, at the age of 99. Al Quie's legacy. Born on a Minnesota farm to Norwegian immigrants, Quie grew up milking cows. He joined the Navy as a pilot during World War II and earned a degree in political science from St. Olaf College before launching his career as a politician. He ran for the Minnesota House of Representatives in 1952 but lost his bid. However, he won election to the Minnesota State Senate in 1954 and made the leap to Congress 4 years later. Quie served in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1958 to 1979. A lifelong, third-generation Republican, Quie was known as a moderate at the time. He voted for the Civil Rights Acts of 1960, 1964, and 1968, as well as the Voting Rights Act of 1965. He was also an advocate of the law that became the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which mandates equal educational access for disabled students. Quie was so respected that both President Gerald Ford and President Ronald Reagan considered him for vice president. Quie was elected governor of Minnesota in 1978. But his tenure was stung by a deep economic recession, and he opted not to run again. After retiring from politics, Quie spent time working with Prison Fellowship, a nonprofit Christian ministry that works with incarcerated people. He'd later split with the Republican Party over his support of a third-party candidate and walked away from the Evangelical Lutheran Church over its support of same-sex marriage. He spent the last 10 years of his life in a managed care facility. Ashley Albertson, 1998 to 2023, 24-year-old racing driver. Ashley Albertson was a talented young car racing driver from Indianapolis sponsored by the Tony Stewart Racing Team. August 18, 2023. Died in Jackson County, Indiana, in a highway traffic accident at the age of 24. Ashley Albertson's legacy. Albertson started racing at a young age, driving quarter midgets at the Kokomo Quarter Midget Club and Mini Indy at just 12 years old. She moved to the Kenyan Midget Series in 2014, and by the time she graduated high school in 2017, she was racing in the All-Star Circuit of Champions TQ Midget Series. Albertson graduated from Franklin Central High School in Indianapolis, where she played soccer, softball, and other sports. She attended Ivy Tech, then landed an apprentice job with Nelson Insulation of the local 18 Heat and Frost Insulators Union. All the while, she kept racing. Driving for Tony Stewart Racing, Albertson earned a number of wins and podium finishes during her 7-season career. She was in 4th place in points during the current season at the time of her death. Albertson died in a 2-vehicle highway collision in Indiana. She was a passenger.